With that, we've got an exciting presentation tonight, headed up by Jeff Prater, K0JSB, and the group of folks that activated the Webster City Depot for Iowa Railroads on the Air. So we'll turn the time over to Jeff and the group. They've got kind of a panel discussion. Jeff will lead the discussion there, and excited to learn more about your activity and how that went, Jeff. So over to you.
On August 16th, this august group of men and then one woman, and actually there was another person too, a guest from Chile, who was also a ham, and that was our group that did this activation in Webster City. And I think before we start, I've got a couple of I spent most of my life being a musician, so I've got a couple of short pieces of music at the beginning, the end, and one in the middle. One in the middle, I think almost everybody will know. This first one, though, is a very famous piece. If you know classical music of the 20th century, it's by the composer Arthur Honegger, and it's called Pacific 231. Basically, what he did is he wrote a piece of music that was based on a large Pacific steam engine starting, going underway, getting faster and faster, traveling along, and then finally, of course, settling down. Well, we'll settle down at the end, but I'm going to get it started right now. I hope that this is loud enough. Symphony orchestra imitating a train. Well, kind of interesting piece. If you want to hear the whole thing, of course, you can just Google it. It's Pacific 231 is all you need to know. The composer is Swiss and French and spent most of his life in Paris, but he did come to the United States to see these large steam engines, and he wrote this piece. So with that, we'll probably. I don't know the score. Yeah, I'm sure that whether he changed the signatures or whether he just did things over the bar line, I don't know. But I don't know the score personally, but I know the recording is all. So I'd have to look that up, though. That's an interesting question. Maybe I'll see if I can look it up and let you know. At any rate, Iowa Railroads on the Air was a special event that was sponsored by W0DBQ, which is the Great River Amateur Radio Club call sign out of Dubuque. And the purpose, of course, is to remember and celebrate Iowa's railroad history and its depots especially. There are about 375 railroad depots in Iowa. Most of them are now abandoned, but some are still in use. And many have also been kind of repurposed, kind of like the one downtown in Ames has been repurposed. We could have probably gone down and done something at Ames, but Ames didn't have the luxury of a park where we could set up antennas and things like that. And Webster City, I think the park kind of speaks for itself. Webster City's depot has also been repurposed. It's now a museum. It was moved. The railroad actually gave the city the building and all of its contents so that if anyone would like to just move it, that's all they had to do. The city just had to move the depot from the tracks to Wilson Brewer Park, which is just south of town, just a little, or it's on the south edge of town. The basic event rules are pretty much the same as almost any event. VHF or UHF or high frequency. The VHF, UHF was simplex only, and repeaters were not allowed. Could use any suitable mode, and have to abide by FCC rules, which is some big surprise, right? And we had to upload our contacts to the W0DBQ website with the name of the depot in which we were activating from. With that, I'm going to do just a very brief overview of Iowa rail history. The transportation by rail in Iowa began in the 1840s, and there were about 655 miles by 1860. By 1870, over 3,000 miles, over 9,000 miles in 1900, and of course in the heyday of rail transportation, just around World War I and so on, over 10,000 miles of rail in Iowa. Of course, it's important for lots of different reasons: shipping grain, livestock, manufactured items, minerals. Iowa used to have a great coal mining industry and so on, and everything was moved out of Iowa by train. Boone, of course, was a major division point on the Northwestern, and for a good reason. Of course, there was a lot of coal mined around Boone. Yeah, Iowa's still very important as far as rail transportation is concerned. All you have to do is sit at the Duff Avenue crossing, for any length of time, and you'll be stopped there for 5 or 10 minutes while the latest Union Pacific freight goes by from Chicago to the West Coast. Also down south, the Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Those are the tracks that Amtrak uses, goes through Creston and Osceola and so on. So those are major freight routes through Iowa, and it's still very important. Iowa is still a very important throughway for trains today, although all freight. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the Illinois Central Railroad, because that's the railroad that went through Webster City where we activated. And it was the Illinois Central Railroad was often called the main line of America. That's because you see the blue lines there go from north to south, and that was their main traffic point. Some of you may know that it's called the that it was called the city of New Orleans, or however it's pronounced, wherever you come from. And I just couldn't resist. Here's a little Willie Nelson.
Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. 15 cars and 15 restless riders, 3 conductors and 25 sacks on mail. Good morning, America, how are you? Say, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the rain they call the city of New Orleans, and I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done.
Well, I kind of sewed a couple of sections together to keep it short because I wanted to have that "Hi there, America." So I left off the business with Kankakee and all of that, but you can Google this anytime you want and listen to Willie Nelson sing "City of New Orleans." This I think Amtrak does a little better than 15 passengers, and they run, I think it's daily service between Chicago and New Orleans still on those tracks. I think it's what the Illinois Central Gulf now. Is that right? Paul, do you know if Illinois Central Gulf is what runs out of Chicago? They merged with another railroad, and then yeah, I think that's yeah. Okay. Craziness. Well, at any rate, you're right, and he was probably the first. Arlo Guthrie. The rail line from the rail line had come through in the 1860s, and by 1869, it had gotten as far as it came to Iowa Falls, and then from Iowa Falls through Webster City to Fort Dodge, and then up to Sioux City. This was finished in 1869, and here's the original IC depot in Webster City. This was not a photo from the 19th century, quite obvious. This is a postcard, and but this was basically unchanged. This station was unchanged until about 1902, and in 1902, this is kind of what it looked. This is an artist's pencil drawing. You can see this up in the museum once it opens again. It's been closed for renovation. And I thought this was a really interesting drawing, especially with the locomotive coming down the line. And here's another picture of a fast freight passing the Webster City Depot. I don't know, looks like sometime in the 20s or 30s, I suppose. Here's what it looks like today. This is what we more or less saw. Although we spent most of our time on the back side of it. The picture on the left is the front of the building with the signal. We spent most of our time behind it in the park side because that was a great place to put antennas up. And it was a really good choice, and we had a wonderful day. And here we see Ron standing next to the sign, and a couple of us in the back setting up radios and doing various things. This is that park side behind the building. Now, why the Webster City Depot for this activation? I was kind of the spark plug on this, and the park is a good enough reason just for itself, because it's a wonderful open place to put up at least the kind of antennas we had, which were verticals and buddy poles. But another reason is that my grandfather, this is F.S. Prater. Actually, the F.S., he always went by F.S. Prater, but his name was Forrest Sprinkle Prater. And the sprinkle came from the doctor who delivered him. For some reason, he must have been really a good friend of the family's, or maybe saved his life, or I don't know what the story is on that. But Forrest Sprinkle Prater was born in 1893, died in 1967. I was a student here at Iowa State when he died. Actually, I would go up to see him every once in a while in Webster City. He was a telegrapher, tower operator. The tower operator had to pull these huge levers that do the switches, and some of those linkages were maybe a quarter mile long. He had to be really strong to pull those things. My brother and I, he would say, "Okay, go over and pull switch number 3." And so my brother and I, we were what, 6 or 8 years old, went over and he must have been just a really strong man to have done those. Of course, it was back in the days of all manual switching of tracks. He was a ticket agent. He loved writing tickets for people and making the best way to get from point A to point B through all the different changes and so on, and all the different companies that you'd have to ride with. He was great at that. And for a while, he was station master. He was employed by the Illinois Central Railroad for 50 years, from 1913 to 1963. Notice beside him there the communications equipment. There's a radio. There's a railroad telephone and an old manual typewriter. And you can't see it, but there are probably telegraph keys up there. He was the one that got me excited about learning telegraph. Even though I never did learn railroad telegraph, I learned International Morse for radio instead. Interesting that setup, because here, this is a picture from the museum now, and it looks about like the same desk, doesn't it? Almost the same setup as it was in his day. I'd really encourage you, if you're interested in this kind of thing, to go up, check out the museum. It's a fantastic place when it finally opens again. We'll have to see when that is. Well, enough of that. Let's get on to our activation. This was the QSL card that we produced for our activation. And as we said before, this was on August 16th when we went up. We were just so very fortunate with weather. It was just a pristine day. It was absolutely wonderful. We were able to sit outside with picnic tables. They wouldn't allow us inside because they're renovating and doing asbestos abatement. So probably just as well. But we had a great time outdoors. And here's the group. There's Cynthia and Skip and Ron and Jean and Juan and Emilio may be listening to us from Chile. Is that right?
I try, but that answer the phone.
Okay. Okay, he'll watch the recording. A good friend of Juan's from Chile, that's CE3 CCP. Where does he live there?
Santiago.
In Santiago, okay. And then I'm behind the camera, so you can't see me. But you can see me now. And here's Emilio close-up. Really a wonderful, wonderful man. He didn't speak much English though, right? No. So we kind of gestured and did a lot of things, but he was just so much fun to have along with us. And I wish I could have caught him because he was going around taking pictures of all of our license plates, those of us who had ham calls on our license plates. He thought that was pretty neat. Well, we have two stations set up, one of them in the foreground on the picnic table and one in the background. And Juan is standing there. I don't know what you're doing there, Juan. What is it? You're reading the manual for your antenna, I think. He had a vertical he'd never put up before, so. And there's Skip, Skip and Emilio and me, and then of course Ron in the background. And here were our antennas. Ron had a buddy pole. I think you were set up on 15 meters pretty much.
20?
20 and 15, yeah.
Yeah, I did a little bit of 15, but mostly 20.
But he had really good luck. You were doing mostly FT8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes like
And the next one over is Juan's vertical, the one he was reading about. And I think Gene got to hook his radio up to it and try it for a while. Did it tune? Oh, that's good. Great, great. And then the last one over here is my antenna, my vertical. It's the one I have up in my attic. However, just this week I finished putting a dipole up around the circumference of my garage attic, and my daughter Brittany back there helped me do some of the drilling in the harder to reach places. So I think that I may be using the dipole, and I might actually just take the vertical down and use it for portable stuff in the future. We'll see. At any rate, here I am tuning the vertical. This is a super antenna MP1, and it has this card that comes with it so that you can at least approximate tunings for various bands, and then you use the antenna analyzers to do the fine tuning. This is a little rig port stick. Well, here are the rigs. They're turned around. It's not a front view, but a back view of Gene's IC7300, and then Ron's Yaesu and a computer setup that he needed for his FT8. And then here's my little IC705, and I've got a little Hard Rock 50 amplifier that I built for it, and so that's what that table station was like. And here we have Ron operating FT8 on 15 and 20, maybe even some sideband, who knows.
You weren't whistling FT8?
He was doing FT8 and pretending he was doing sideband. And here's Skip operating SSB on 20 meters. And Cynthia also did. We'll have a picture of Cynthia. I didn't get a picture of Cynthia operating, but the reporter from the paper did, and we'll see Cynthia at the very end when we bring the paper up, and she was also using this equipment. Here we are trying to fix some coax that wasn't exactly right, and finally Juan went and got a piece of coax from his home and brought it, and that seemed to solve the problem. Well, near the end, now we also have to thank Juan because he's a very generous fellow. He went and ordered pizza, soft drinks, and this huge cookie for us to have something to eat. And we just had a great time chowing down on that. You can see some of us there with pizza in our hands, and then Juan is over here cutting the cookie into pieces. Okay, so what are the results? We logged 52 contacts altogether. And Ron was kind enough to upload all of the logs to the Iowa Railroad website and Logbook of the World and EQSL. We had 4 QSL cards that were requested, right?
Right.
Yeah, and then 23 confirmations by Logbook of the World and 14 by EQSL. So some of our 52 were actually confirmed out there. We didn't receive, I wrote was giving out certificates for any group that would activate 5 different locations, 5 different depots. And since we only did one, we didn't get a certificate, but small price to pay for having a good time. Of the 52 log QSOs, 10 were by Skip, 16 Cynthia, 26 by Ron. 33 of those were SSB contacts, and 19 were FT8s. And most of the QSOs did take place on 20 meters, but there was 2 that took place on 40 and 1 on 15. So that's kind of the results of our day. We didn't spend all that much time out there. We probably got started about 11:30, was it something like that? 11:30 or 12 by the time we got all of the bugs worked out of our equipment and all. Yeah, we have Webster City's Department of Parks to thank for giving us free AC to run our equipment, so we didn't have to do battery operated or anything.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time visiting, looking at other pieces of equipment, figure out. Yeah, had more fun than making QSOs.
Yeah, we had a really great time. Well, publicity. Yeah, this is and we got a 2-page article in the Webster City local paper, and we have Jane Curtis to thank for that, and of course Juan for getting in touch with her and making sure that she came out and interviewed us. You can see down here now there's a picture of Cynthia operating on 20, and looks like we're all pretty happy. Juan passed out some papers last time, and if anybody wants to read this, just let me know, and I can send you.
I read that article in the paper, and that's actually why I decided to get it.
Is that right? Hey, let's give him a hand. That's right. Well, we're just about done. This is the last slide, but I promised you a little more en égard. This is, we had a startup before. Now this is the opposite. This is the slowdown. And that's the end of the ride, and that's the end of the talk. If you have any questions for us or any of the members up here, please. Uh, yeah, yes, it certainly would. This was an ensemble. So, you know, great conductors can do this kind of thing. I wouldn't want to try this myself.
One comment. Yeah, both Skip and Cynthia were both activators and hunters. In fact, I did a sideband contact with each of them when they were in Webster City. So it was also our shortest distance contact. And our farthest contact was Ireland. So, yeah, so we did pretty good there.
Anybody else? Yeah, Skip wants to talk. Look here, Skip, so that people can see you.
Thank you, Jeff and Ron. And I had the ICOM 706 in the car with the mag mount, nothing too exotic. And I was parked, 100 feet from your position? That wouldn't count. So Cynthia and I got in the car and drove, I think about a mile away to the water treatment plant, or was it sewage treatment plant? And made a contact. And Ron had already given me a QSL card.
Oh, wow. Hey, thank you.
So I'm happy to QSL. And then we went back and got to the operating position. And the guys who had been operating said, conditions are bad. And I sat down to operate, and they were bad. And after a few minutes, they started to improve. And that's when I worked, was it 10 contacts? And they improved real good. And Cynthia got a bunch, the 16. And then we left. And I had one question, Jeff. Where was the railroad station beforehand? Because there wasn't a railroad real close by, and it's not near the downtown area.
It's, 2nd Street is the main drag down there.
Okay.
If you go north a couple of blocks from 2nd Street, the main drag in Webster City, that's where the rail lines go through, and the station was there.
Okay.
There was also a tower that was there, and that's the place that my brother and I used to like to hang out with my grandfather up on the tower. But that was a couple hundred yards west of the depot.
Okay. But I enjoyed it. It was fun. It went way back. I always liked the railroads, and growing up had the model railroads, which I spent the last year cleaning up, and they're going on Craigslist probably next week. And I taught transportation. So this was a great activity.
It's fuzzy, a microphone that's fuzzy. Well, just real quick here, I guess what you were talking about with the trains in Iowa and everything, I guess it rings true then that without the trains, there'd be no Ames, right? I guess that's what I've heard anyway. And I'll admit, I was one who wanted a QSL card, so I like that. Your grandfather looked like he was on top of the game, and given all the different roles he had to play, I just am kind of fascinated with that, and I was fascinated to hear your story and just tie the past and the present together. I just thought that was really neat. Sharing any outdoor activity, whether it's field day, fox hunting, anything that we do as a club, I think is what the club is about. And so that's always a good opportunity to get together and have pizza too. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for all your work.
So they can see.
Okay.
They want to see your face, Gene.
All right. Oh, I got it. All right.
Well, I had bought a ICOM 7300 about 3 years ago when I retired, and it'd been sitting in a box for years, and these guys took the time to help me get it figured out and make sure it was working. So I appreciate that. We had a lot of fun that day, didn't we, guys? It was good. And thank you very much.
Juan? Oh, come on up, Juan. We got to hear from Juan.
Are you sure you want to take a chance?
Yeah. The guy who, he was the local guy that made it work for us up there. So
I've never seen one speechless, so I'm sure you've got something to share with us.
That's your lucky day. Well, this was a very rewarding experience for me. And well, nothing to brag about it, but I didn't do nothing. I didn't operate. I just was the middleman, the busy guy kind of gets things together, and everything was good. The guy did all the contests. I just fixed the meal. I didn't fix it either. Pizza Hut was right close, so I called them. They brought it, and we have pretty good meal. No, it was a very good experience. Like nothing different than the activity that the Ames Club participate on. From well, the marathon in Des Moines, we help them. We do the but on the at the lake north of the town. That's a very good activity. In Western City, we used to have the Boom Bash River Dash, and you guys helped me or helped the club quite a few times monitor and get this project going. And unfortunately, we don't do those things anymore. But we're trying to stay alive as a club, as a group, fairly decent, organized. We do things differently, but we get it done. No, it was my pleasure to assist you guys. I learned a lot from this. I like railroad and well, I like to travel. So this was very good idea, and I'm glad it went well, and seem to be everybody's happy. So thank you, Jeff, for this.
well, with that, I guess I can say, again, I'll put in another plug whenever it opens back up. Just drive up to Webster City and go to the Wilson Brewer Park and check out the depot. It's an interesting museum inside. Actually, there are some photos of my grandfather in there. There are lots of documents in his handwriting and old telegraph keys and all kinds of interesting things there. So I'll put in a plug for the Webster City Depot Museum. I guess with that, we're done.
Standing. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, we lost your audio, Paul.
Okay, how's the audio now?
There you go. You're good.
All right, thanks. Apologies. I thought I was muted and unmuted myself, and anyway, I didn't.
Yep, you're
So,
good now.
awesome, thank you. All right. Well, thanks, and I appreciate Jeff and Ron and really everyone who participated. It was a great opportunity for a club activity that, for one, I didn't have to organize. Thank you. But no, really, I think this is really, as was mentioned, I think the spirit of the club, the opportunity is there at any time. It doesn't have to be a big affair. It doesn't have to be a big production. And if you've got interest in doing something like this, organize it. We're here as a group to support each other, and really that is the purpose of the organization here and of the club and the reason that we get together. So thanks to all there. Also, like, and I think it was Cynthia that mentioned it, really kind of the connection to the human element and having that tie-in, Jeff, there with your grandfather and being able to connect to the past there is fantastic.